So I wanted to put together a comparison of Aura versus IdentityForce. They are two identity theft protection services, and both of them are definitely good. They have their things to offer, but there's definitely a clear winner in my mind when you stack them up, when you compare them in terms of what they monitor, in terms of how they help you out should a threat arise. And there's definitely a pretty stark difference when it comes to cost. And I just want to run through that with you today. Just sort of a real quick answer before we hop into the details. I'd say for most people, you're probably going to be better off going with Aura. It's just a more comprehensive package at a more approachable price. It seems like Identity Force pretty much does all that Aura does. Maybe not everything. I mean, Aura's definitely a comprehensive package, but Identity Force offers the bulk of it. But they do kind of hide some of that behind paywalls, and they do the way that they structure it. You do have to, sort of pay a bit more to get everything that you get with Aura, and we'll go into that in just a second here. But so the first thing I want to look at when evaluating any identity theft protection service is simply their monitoring. And for the purposes of this video, I think it makes the most sense to compare Aura's individual plan with Identity Force's ultra secure individual plan. Just, from a price point, you could see they're the most similar right here, and you can obviously see which one is cheaper right now. And you can obviously see which one is cheaper, but this is actually before you apply my discount. And you can get a nice discount on Aura at least by clicking on my link in the description of this video. If you do use that link, you can get up to 50% off at the time of filming. And if that changes over time, I'll make sure to update that link with the best deal that I currently have access to. Not sure if I have a deal right now for Identity Force. I'll have to check, but if I do have one, the link in the description will also apply that deal automatically if you click on it. So go ahead and take advantage of that. So yeah, but back to monitoring here. I think the most important aspect of any identity theft protection service is the monitoring. What are they looking at? Right off the bat, sort of the big discrepancy based on these sort of similarly priced plans is Aura offers 3 bureau credit monitoring, whereas Identity Force does not. They don't offer credit monitoring at all in their ultra secure plan. And you're already paying more right off the bat without applying any discounts. And we'll get to that there. That's definitely a check for Aura, I think, in terms of what they offer for monitoring. But if we come to sort of the identity monitoring section in each of these, both of these plans do monitor, data brokers, and will do to some extent some things on your behalf to opt out of, junk mails, robocalls, those types of things. And when I signed up with Aura, they immediately identified 30 data brokers that they could submit opt-out requests for on my behalf. And over time, they do kind of tell me that they submitted, 5 more, 7 more, something like that, whenever new data brokers come up. The Identity Force does say that they do that, but I don't really have any details on it, so I can't really speak to that too much. But basically how these work is you, in your identity vault here for Identity Force and your watch list for Aura, you basically plug in your information, things like email addresses. Automatically, it's looking at your social security number, your date of birth, your home address you can add. There's quite a few more fields, phone numbers, passports, driver's license, national provider identifier, financial account numbers, credit card numbers, loyalty card numbers, health insurance ID numbers, email addresses, gamer tags, IP addresses. And over here with Identity Force, it's name, email, phone, date of birth, social security number, home address, driver's license, passport, medical insurances, mother's maiden names, financial accounts here. So, there's quite a bit of information that both of these monitor, and how they work is once you've input that information, they will scan not only the public web for these data brokers, but also the dark web. So places like dark web, basically places that you won't find on Google. You may not even find them unless you really have a pretty strong working knowledge of how the dark web operates. They also look at forums, chat rooms, those types of places, basically things that aren't showing up on Google, where people are potentially selling leaked information, exchanging leaked information for, fraudulent gain. Both of these services found quite a few hits, and across, multiple email addresses of mine. I think that I can't say that one service found everything and the other did not. It's more like Aura found quite a few, Identity Force found quite a few. Most of them overlap but Aura found some that IdentityForce didn't, and vice versa. So I would say that they're fairly similar in terms of what they find for when it comes to personal information monitoring across the dark web. They both also will keep an eye on whether or not any, accounts are opened up in your name, whether that's credit card or utilities, and if there are any changes to public records, those types of things. IdentityForce does also, in addition, which it's definitely not a requirement of an identity theft protection service, but they offer, sex offender monitoring alerts if there are registered sex offenders in your area. They offer some social security number tracking, which I'm not really sure I can say Aura doesn't offer, but basically just sort of tells you what information is associated with your social security number. Just Aura doesn't really sort of sell it as its own unique thing, but not really a huge win for IdentityForce over Aura. Beyond, personal identity monitoring, as I mentioned, IdentityForce doesn't do any credit monitoring with this plan. However, you get full credit monitoring with Aura. You get 3-bureau credit monitoring. You get scores from all 3 bureaus. You get a nice little Experian credit lock here. With the click of this button, you can lock your Experian credit file from unwanted inquiries, and you get, you can see your scores over time. You can get some input as to how you can make your scores better. And you can get your full reports and scores from Experian and TransUnion in addition to what you get from Equifax here. So definitely a nice feature from Aura that IdentityForce doesn't offer at this tier. Both of these services do offer transaction monitoring as well. So basically you can link financial accounts, whether they're credit cards, bank accounts, those types of accounts. And if you can set thresholds, if any transactions are over a limit that you set, you can get a notification right away to say, hey, that's a fraudulent charge, and get on top of it as fast as you can possibly do so. In addition to that, both of them offer password managers. I know that Aura offers antivirus and VPN as well. I don't believe that IdentityForce offers those. At least I haven't seen them recently. They do have a password manager, but I don't think that they have VPN or antivirus. IdentityForce does also have this secure storage, which is kind of interesting and nice. You can add basically, files here that they claim are stored securely. I'm not so sure I would trust it myself, but it is something that they offer. And another thing that IdentityForce offers that Aura does not is you can monitor your social media accounts, at least Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, for basically any inappropriate activity or things like, any posts that may be perceived as violent or are using profanity, or it could be categorized as cyberbullying or discriminatory. Whether you're doing that or not, maybe somebody's hacked your accounts and they're using it for that purpose. Nice to have. I don't think it's sort of an essential or expected thing for identity theft protection service to have, but it is nice indeed. In terms of threat resolution, both of these companies offer up to $1 million in identity theft insurance. I think the biggest difference here is that when you move up to the family plan for Aura, that goes up to $1 million per adult. And same with the couple, $1 million per adult. That's, $5 million in identity theft insurance from Aura for the family plan and $2 million for the couple plan. As you can see, it doesn't necessarily go up here when you go to family plans with IdentityForce. But in terms of actually who's going to be helping you when you run into issues with either of these companies, I've had the pleasure of speaking to both of these, and I'm not saying that facetiously. Both of these companies are really quite helpful services. They don't feel like call centers at all. It does feel like you get a dedicated help specialist, and they really care about the issues that you're having. They are clearly not reading off scripts, anything like that. I think you're in good hands with either of these companies, should you be having that horrible day where some aspect of your identity has been stolen, you've lost a ton of money, you've got a huge, hit to your credit score, whatever it may be. I think either of these companies will definitely have your back. I think, Aura might have a little bit of an upper hand in terms of how much they offer, in terms of how deep they'll go to have your back, just at least in terms of what they advertise, beyond that $1 million in insurance per adult. And they definitely do cover multiple adults with Aura, whereas IdentityForce does not. And then last but not least, I think considering everything, I think really the biggest deal breaker here, which pushes me towards Aura, is indeed the price structure. And as we've sort of alluded to here earlier in the video, and I've flat out showing you earlier in the video, clearly Aura is the cheaper plan here, and Aura's individual plan is $15 per month billed monthly, and you're getting a lot more right off the bat, whereas IdentityForce's individual plan is $18, $17.99 per month when billed monthly, and billed by the year. You're still doing much better with Aura. And this is before you apply the discounts using my links in the description of this video here. When you do use that link, you can get up to 50% off on Aura as of right now. And this comes down to, I think the individual plan, it's a little bit less discounted than the higher plans, but I think it comes down to $9 per month with my current deal down there, and $12 per month billed annually. So it's quite a bit cheaper. You are getting that credit monitoring. It's a better deal all around. So anyway, if you are looking into IdentityForce versus Aura, I would definitely suggest Aura. I don't think you can go wrong with IdentityForce. I just think you're getting a better deal and more comprehensive package with Aura. So I'd give you that recommendation based on using them both. In any case, if you want to get more information on Aura, make sure to check out my Aura review. I'll probably have that appear here as this video is coming to a close. And I haven't done an IdentityForce review yet, but maybe I will soon. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching and good luck staying safe online.